and a lot of vibrations and really just anything that moves. So a lot of fields use mechanical engineering. I want to go past that and specialize into biomedical engineering, which is more along the lines of surgical robotics and medical machinery. I want to develop surgical robots, and with that, I need to know exactly how the human body functions and how it functions with robotic systems. Essentially, I'll be able to design a system where a person will be able to communicate with a motor and hopefully improve their quality of life, whether this be through a surgical robot that a doctor is controlling or whether it's prosthetic that's motorized.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the budget public hearing. This is our final meeting regarding the budget. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. If you'll let the record reflect that Board Member Sanchez, Board Member Dellinger, Board Member Davis, Vice Chair Garrick, and myself are present, along with Superintendent Beeman, Attorney Cole Palmer, and the marvelous Jill. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Pavlicek, our CFO, who will discuss items A and B on your agenda. Mr. Pavlicek, the floor is yours.
Here we have the agenda for tonight's meeting. The first part of this will be a discussion of the tax millage rates and the final budget.
Are you recording upstairs? I'm sorry, hold just for one moment if you would. Okay, now we're ready.
Ready? Okay. Okay, so this afternoon's public hearing was publicized in a mailing that was sent to all property tax payers in mid-August by the
Point of
Seminole
order,
County.
Chair, if I may. Point of order. If it was not recording when you introduced and called the meeting to order, it may be advisable to start over. Okay.
Thank you.
Ready to go?
Okay, sorry. Well, let's start
Okay,
over.
I'll start over.
Welcome, Mr. Pavlicek.
This afternoon's public hearing was publicized in a mailing that was sent to all property taxpayers in mid-August by the Seminole County Property Appraiser's Office. Along with this presentation, each board member was provided with a copy of the detailed final budget document for fiscal year 25-26 being presented for approval this evening. And it's also included on the board's website for anybody that wants to have a look at that. So in preparing the final budget hearing, we're required to follow the requirements of the Truth in Millage statute, which is section 200.065 Florida statute. So TRIM is about transparency to taxpayers. Dictates the form, size, placement, and wording of the budget advertisement. It requires 2 public hearings within a very specific time period. The first public hearing on the tentative budget was held on July 22nd, 2025. This is the second and last one where the board will be approving the final budget. The hearings are intended to allow for an open discussion of the millage rates and the final budgets of all taxing authorities. So in determining the taxes, what is used is a millage rate, a property tax levy of $1 per thousand of taxable property value is what constitutes 1 mill. So we are funded through the Florida Education Finance Program, which is the basis for allocating state and local funds to school districts. The FEFP includes required local effort millage and a prior period funding adjustment millage. Florida legislature sets the rates for the required local effort millage and the prior period funding adjustment millage. These millages must be levied by the school board in order to receive any state funding under the Florida Education Finance Program. So for this year, the 25-26 fiscal year, the proposed millage levies are the local required effort 2.998, prior period funding adjustment 0.003, basic discretionary operating of 0.748, and capital outlay millage of 1.5, a total millage levy of 5.249. This compares to the prior year. As you can see, there's a slight decrease in 0.03 mils compared with the overall millage levy from last year. So in levying the millage, we are required to compare the millage to a rollback rate, which is a millage rate that would generate the same amount of revenue as last year if applied to the current year adjusted taxable value. So for the new year, we show the rollback rates there, the proposed rates. The required local effort millage rate to be levied exceeds the rollback rate by 3.19%. The total millage rate to be levied exceeds the rollback rate by 3.63%. The percentage increase in the millage over the rollback rate is necessary to fund the general operating and capital outlay needs of the district. Here's a comparison over the last 5 years of the millage rates. As you can see, there's a steady drop in the local required effort. Again, that rate is set by the state legislature each year, and that's been dropping. This is a comparison over the last 5 years. Here's a comparison going back all the way to 2015, and you can see that is a substantial drop in the millage rate over that period of time, about 39%, from 4.949 mils to 3.001 mils. The other millage rate there is the discretionary millage rate of 0.748 and the 1.5 mils. That constitutes that lower line, and there has been no change in that millage rate over this period of time. So in calculating the tax on a home using the average taxable value for a Seminole County home, this is an analysis that provides that data. So in determining the increase in a home with a home a home that qualifies under the Save Our Homes Amendment, the change in assessed valuation is by law 3% or the CPI, whichever is lower. So this year, the rate used is 2.9%, since that is the lower of the percentages. So for a house that's with a average taxable value, $268,680 would be the assessed valuation, less the homestead exemption, gives us a taxable value of $243,680. Divided by the 1,000, that number then, 243.68, times the millage rate gives us a number of $1,279.07, which is an increase of $32.66 compared with last year. And this is the analysis of the summary of the final budget by fund proposed for this next year. The main difference between this budget and what the board approved in July would be the carryover budget balances, which had not been finalized at the time that the tentative budget was prepared. And that concludes our budget presentation. I believe the next item is public comments.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, no? Okay, we have no public comments. Do we have any board discussion? Member Sanchez.
I have no comments, but thank you so much for you and your team for putting this together and explaining it to everyone and to us for clarification. I appreciate you all so much.
Vice Chair.
I'd like to echo the sentiments of Member Sanchez, and also I do appreciate the historical data so that we can look at the trends over time. That's informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Dellinger.
Mr. Pavlicek, could you just one more time explain why, if someone looks at their tax bill and sees that their school tax is $32 more this year than it was last year,
Well,
why that would be?
it would be the increase in the assessment valuation. The school board's millage rate actually dropped
Right.
by 0.57%.
Just wanted that to be
overall.
clear.
So it
Thank
wasn't
you.
the millage rate, it was the assessed valuation increase.
Right, thank you.
Member Davis.
I just want to thank you for all your work and your team. I know it's a big job, this budget, and to get it all done and recorded is amazing. Thank you.
This is the staff here that did it. They're in the audience. Jared Lowe, our Director of Finance, and his assistant, Melissa Brown. So I want to thank them. They put this big book together that you now have, the budget book. So I just,
A little light reading.
right, exactly.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Chair, I do. The first is that the School Board of Seminole County adopt Resolution 2025-09, determining revenues and millages levied.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Member Sanchez, a second? Member Davis, is there any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Superintendent, do you have another recommendation?
Yes, that the School Board of Seminole County adopt Resolution 2025-10, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
So
Okay.
moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second?
Member Dellinger, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And that concludes our budget hearing. Thank you again to the team.
Thank you.
And all of you for being here. This meeting is now adjourned.